Okay. And you could lie down on your back, on your side, on your belly, any way you wish to lie down that feels comfortable enough, supportive enough, warm enough. Hi, Luchi. If you have two blocks around, have those nearby. And we're just going to start lying down today. Nothing fancy. Lying down and thinking about, well, with this massive snowstorm that I have by me here, I imagine most of you have it too. There's something that just sort of like cuts you off. The world, nature is just saying, time out. You're not going to keep going as it was. It's very definitive. And I love that. You don't have a choice about it. You can't just pretend it's not happening. And so, in the spirit of that, I've been talking about this for the last couple of weeks actually. The idea of winter and giving yourself the permission to let it be radically different because it is. And I offer you these words today from David White. And it's a beautiful book. It's called Consolations. I'll show you here, and I can show you later too, where he just takes words, everyday words, and then writes a beautiful essay about them. And the word is withdrawal. Withdrawal, and he's got a really great take on it. He says it's a beautiful, freeing act of mercy. Withdrawal as a freeing act of mercy. Withdrawal as an art form, underestimated in this time of constant action and engagement. Withdrawal as an art form. I love that. And then I'm going to skip to later on where he says, we stick to the wrong thing quite often, not because it will come to fruition by further effort, but because we cannot let go of the way we have decided to tell the story. We stick to the wrong thing quite often because we just can't let go of the way we tell the story. We become further enmeshed, we get sticky. So, to remove ourselves entirely, abruptly, and at times uncompromisingly, is often the real and radically courageous break for freedom. Unsticking ourselves from the mythical tar baby, seemingly set up just for us right in the middle of our path. Unsticking ourselves from the mystical to mythical tar baby. We withdraw not to disappear, but to find another ground from which to see. So, using that image as our sort of jump off point, that idea of the mythical tar baby and whatever you might be sort of enmeshed in and feeling really sticky about, that you might give yourself today radical permission, courageous permission to practice withdrawal as an art form. And I thought today we would go into the body and just get really unsticky, that we're going to go in there today and use the practice like a form of self massage from the inside out, and especially the spine, taking really good care of our own spines today. So you can start to breathe a little bigger and wider and feel yourself expanding. You could let your eyes blink or your fingers wiggle. You might reach your arms overhead and take a big long stretch or hug your knees in. But trying it as often as you can today to come back to that idea of unstickiness, of getting yourself unstuck from the tar baby of your story, of whatever it might be. And that's okay. It's not cold. We're not being like cold and unfeeling. We're not being assholes when we do that. We're doing it for our self preservation so that we can find a new way to look at things, come back better. So come on to your seat today, and you can just sit in a simple cross-legged seat. If you need a little extra padding, stick a pillow or blanket underneath your seat, and then bringing your hands together at the heart. Just a simple Anjali mudra to start with. And then allowing that mudra to open from the top, so the base of the hand and the pinkies and the thumbs stay connected. So just the middle three fingers spread open wide, and it becomes Padma Mudra, the mudra of the lotus. And it's often spoken of as a mudra for compassion. And it always reminds me of like a chalice or a cup. And to me, it's a reminder not just to pay attention to taking care of everybody else, but to fill my own cup too. So just noticing, checking in. How does your cup feel today? Is it full up to the brim, or does it you feel a little parched in that area? If you want to join me, we can chant Om, taking a deep inhale. Another couple of breaths here, and then we'll begin a bit of movement. Really simple. So I encourage you to move very alertly, consciously, slowly today. You can stretch your arms straight out ahead of you and round your back. The hands can separate here. And just reaching, actually, let's bring the palms together. Touch the two palms together and they point forward. And then, like a cat spine, you can fall towards the back of your sitting bones and really exaggeratedly round the spine. The head drops between the upper arms. And then sit up tall, open your arms straight out to the sides like you're parting a cloud, opening the arms out, and a little bit of spinal extension, any amount of back bend by reaching the sternum up, rocking towards the front of the sitting bones. And then drop your right fingertips to the floor beside you and reach the left arm up. And as you reach that left arm up, you can start to really slowly carry it up, straight up, and then overhead, keeping the right arm straight. Start to bring that left hand any amount towards the right hand. And it may end up that you touch your right wrist or even your right hand or the floor near your right hand, but you don't have to. You got to keep your sitting bones on the ground. So that left hip, keep it heavy. See, I'm only going about 6-8 inches above my hand, and then slowly the other way. So just reverse that, and we'll change hands and bring the left fingertips over to the floor on the side of you, and the right arm will start to climb up. Real slow motion. Comes up, keeping the left arm straight, keeping the seat heavy, and trying to even keep that right leg nice and heavy. Start to reach the right arm in the direction of the left hand, and just see, without forcing it, without being too sort of like bossy about it, where do you organically stop? Where's the landing point there, that first one? And then float yourself all the way back up again. This time, as you come all the way back up, you can take your fingertips a little bit behind you and then just lift the sternum up and find seated back bend here. The throat lifts, the chin lifts, the throat stays soft though. And then coming back up, tall spine, bring your hands together. It's your heart in a prayer. Do that one more time, starting from the lotus mudra. So separating the inner three fingers and creating that chalice. Creating that flower. Let your fingers be soft, the skin on your palms, pay a little attention to it. And then press the prayer together, reach the arms straight forward, point the fingers straight ahead of you, and round your back, rock towards the back of your pelvis. And you can, if you want a little sway, it doesn't have to be like super rigid here. Any other movement that your body might be craving. So that's really what this is about today, massaging your body from the inside. So if you want to move your rib cage around, massage your inner skin or anything at all. And then separating the hands, parting the clouds, open them out to the side, and lift your heart, keep the throat soft. Right fingertips touch down, left arm comes over. The moonrise, really soft and sweet, and it's going to keep going all the way over in the direction of that right hand where it might touch down or it might not. Slowly back up. How's your jaw? Can you loosen your jaw a little bit. How about your ears? Can your ears be soft and velvety? Go to the other side. Deliver the left hand down. Start to slowly and no rush carry that right arm through space all the way over, reaching the sitting bone down and the fingertips away from it on a sort of spiraling diagonal. How's your spine in there? Try to keep room for it. Come all the way back up. Deliver both sets of fingertips just a little bit behind you if you want to. This time you can just lift the chest, or you can also push your hips forward and press your knees down and take it into a little more of a back bend, but still nothing extreme just yet. And then as you come on down from there, go ahead and relax and swing your legs around behind you. And now if you have two blocks, you could get your two blocks and put them either, you could put them on their short side, or you could put them on their medium side, and bring your actually let's do forearms, bring your forearms to them. And you could even just have your hands sort of together, gently clasped. If you don't have blocks, it is no problem at all. You can do the same thing without the blocks. You can put your elbows on the floor and come to this quadruped position, bringing the palms together here too, like a little prayer. And so either way, whether you're on blocks or whether you're not, start by coming into spinal extension. So you're going to lift your chin, let the belly really exaggeratedly sort of fall, just like mama cow with big heavy udders. Just let them fall. And now right ear and right hip come towards each other. So now lateral flexion of the spine, right ear and right hip. And then left ear and left hip. So switching directions, curving in a C curve over to the other side. And then come back to center and round the spine. Exaggerated cat back, lift the belly in and up, and really curl the head in and tuck the chin. Just like that again from the top, let the belly fall, lift the chin, lift the tailbone, heavy belly just falling towards the floor. And then right ear and right hip curl towards each other. And then left ear and left hip. And then back to center for that rounded cat back. So now we're going to put it together, and you can go from the belly down, spine arch, cow position, right over to right ear to right hip, through the rounded cat back, and then left ear to left hip. So you get the idea. It kind of becomes circular. Drop the belly, lift the chin, lift the tail. Keep going like that. It might take a second to sort of like feel it in your body and get a rhythm going that works for you. And then I also encourage you to change direction at will, and change anything else too if there's any other movement that wants to happen here. But definitely feeling those 4 different curves of the spine, the extension and the flexion and the lateral, each side getting that good lateral flexion. Right, massaging your skin from the inside, massaging your organs on the inside. Do that for another moment here. And then you can just let it settle in the center. Take the blocks away if you have them. If you were using them, just push them away. And everybody come to all fours. And as you come to all fours, stabilize your shoulders and just rock your hips from side to side. Real simple. Just rocking the hips. And you feel how it's a little bit of a C curve. It's not really just like a straight typewriter line. Little, like a gentle little rainbow action with the hips. And you could even try to exaggerate that a little bit so that as each hip comes forward, it also dips down, down and forward, and then swings back like a little rainbow, and then down and forward. Tuck your toes under while you're doing that. And we're going to make it a little more challenging by lifting the knees up just an inch or two off the floor. So go ahead and try that. Come to a floating hands and knees. And as you rock the pelvis, one knee touches down and then the other knee touches down. So it's almost like you're walking on your knees here and just letting the pelvis swing, feeling that relationship between the knees and the hips, trying to keep the shoulders nice and stable. And if that's going okay, then we're going to try to swing the hips even more. So no more knees touching the floor. Let both knees float. Swing the hips so that the side of your hip faces the ground. Come back through center. Swing the hips so the other side of the hip faces the ground. Try to keep your shoulders as stable as you can and just keep swinging that lower spine twisting, the navel center twisting. Keep going a couple more times, just like squish, squish, washing it all out in there, squeezing, twisting, massaging. You're going to land eventually on that outer right hip. So slowly, the next time you get to where the right hip is facing the floor, set it down. And as you set it down, you can slide your right arm out and bend the elbow to hold your head up like a sort of really lazy Ananta Asana here. You got the knees bent. Keep your bottom knee bent, the right knee, and lift your left leg up into the sky. And you're going to use your left hand. That'll help stabilize you. And really what we're working on now is stabilizing through the core and the whole belly area to take that left leg and reach it up and out as far as you can in the diagonal towards your head. And then make a big circle with it up and around, just like we did with the arm, that big sort of like the sun going across the sky. Now, as best you can, you're reaching it back on the diagonal without losing your balance. This is harder than you might think. You really have to stabilize. Back on the diagonal, it might touch the floor there, and then up and forward on the diagonal. So just making a big rainbow with that leg, the toes pointed, the knees straight, and you just that 3D, like some of you were in class the other day, Saturday, and we talked about 3D hip health. That hip surgery, hip replacement is the #1 orthopedic surgery in America, and we don't want that. I mean, if we have to have it, we'll do what we need to do for our bodies, but to avoid it, to really work on 3D hip strength, 3D hip mobility, 3D hip health. The next time that your left leg goes back behind you, it crosses on that back diagonal, leave it there, and then just spill onto your belly with your ankles crossed. So coming to Sphinx on your forearms with your ankles crisscrossed behind you. So you look back and you've got the left leg on top of the right leg. Squeeze the legs together, press the forearms down, and try to draw your spine out of the pelvis. Imagine a string on the crown, and it's pulling up and forward. And then as you relax the upper body, stretch your arms straight out in front of you, palms down, put your forehead down, keep your legs squeezed together, your ankles are crossed. Lift everything up like skydiver with crossed ankles, squeeze your legs together, lift your arms. Keep your gaze slightly forward and down. I'm gonna stay here for 2 more breaths if you can. Soft and gentle, but a little more lift. Then 1 more little lift, and then put the whole thing down. Uncross the feet, pull your hands back underneath the shoulders, and your choice of cobra or upward facing dog. Okay, if you want up dog, pull the hands back a little further. For cobra, they can be right under the shoulders. Live in it for a moment. Move your head around, move your shoulders around, even an up dog. You can do that, and then we'll land in downward dogs. You can tuck the toes or roll over the toes and arrive. Downward dog, give it a shake out, bend the knees, move everything around for a moment. And then just like we did on the forearms earlier in class, trying slowly to start with that same idea of heavy cow belly spine. Let your belly drop, lift your chin, and find that cow pose. And then right ear to right shoulder in downward dog. Left ear to left ear to left hip. Sorry, left ear to left hip in downward dog. And then rounded cat back in downward dog. Okay, doing that again, that same sort of drop the belly, lift the tailbone, lift the chin, cow pose in dog. And then right ear and right hip. So lateral spinal flexion and downward dog. I know it's not as much as you would get on your hands and knees. And then left ear, left hip, C curve that way. And then super exaggerated rounded spine and downward dog, tuck the chin. And now make it a circle, right? So go from the belly dropping and the chin lifting, and then right ear and right hip through the rounded spine, left ear and left hip, and then back to belly dropping. And just like we did on the forearms, you could play with changing direction and adding in any other movement, just being curious about how you can move your body here, what's happening in your body here, what you feel. Mm-hmm. And then go ahead and walk your hands all the way back to your feet at the back of your space. You can grab your elbows there and just hang over your legs. If you want to keep the knees really soft, do that. Or if you wanted to, you can press down into the feet and try straightening your legs. Bring the hands back down, walk your hands forward, downward facing dog. From downward facing dog, touch your knees down, come to all fours. And then coming back to all fours, just to that simple hip swing of just letting the hips swing one way and the other, making that little gentle half circle back there. And then go ahead and tuck your toes under, lift your knees up an inch or two, and swivel the hips and tap one knee down and then the other knee down. Shoulders are stable, one knee touches gently and the other one. A few more times like that. And then make that swing a little more dramatic where the knees are not touching and the hips really swivel. And swivel. Just spinning on the balls of your feet, swiveling, swiveling. And the next time that you swivel to where the left hip is facing the ground, gently put it down, slide your left arm out, bend the elbow, hold your head up, come to this lounging on your side seat here. And then the right leg goes up. Just like before, straighten the knee, point the toe, reach it up on the diagonal towards your head and out in front of you. And then take it up and across the sky and stabilize as best you can to reach that right leg back behind you on the diagonal to the floor, unless you have a pillow in the way. And then keep going like that. Carry it up and around. And back. Couple more times. And as you take it back on that back diagonal, next time, keep it there. Spill onto your belly, legs crossed, Sphinx posed with crossed ankles or crossed shins, squeezing legs together, rooting forearms down to carry the heart through the gate of the arms. How's your face? Jaw, tongue, eyes. And then let that go, but keep the legs crossed and your arms straight out in front of you. And come up like a skydiver, squeezing your legs, lifting chest, lifting arms, keeping the head so that all sides of the neck feel long, that there's not a head tossed back or dropped, but right in the middle. And see if you can lift everything up just a tiny bit more. and then let the dust settle. Come on down. Keep your legs crossed, perhaps. This is just a maybe, but it might be something interesting to try, that you could keep the legs crossed and come into cobra or upward facing dog. And you could also, after you explore that, keep the legs crossed momentarily in a downward facing dog. And if it doesn't happen like that, just uncross at any point when you need to. So go ahead and take your time going through those shapes, up dog or cobra into down dog. And as you feel ready, you could uncross the legs. Mm-hmm. And actually, it could be even interesting to keep the legs crossed and try that same thing of in downward facing dog. Let the belly fall and the chin lift, and then right ear and right hip come together, and left ear and left hip come together. And then super rounded as best you can, right? There's less movement than there would be on all fours. But how much can you find? You do it simple and slow a couple times, and then you could start to make a circle out of it, or a figure eight out of it, or whatever might arise out of this shape for you. And you could keep the ankles crossed if you got them. You could try crossing them the other way too. Hmm. And if you have the ankles crossed still, or you could cross them again, yeah, keep exploring. Eventually, we'll come walking backwards to a standing forward bend, the hands walking back to the feet. And so, crossed ankles could be interesting here as well. And always, it is entirely your choice here, up to your own personal individual body. If you want ankles crossed or not, as you fold forward, you could bob around, holding elbows, or even reaching around behind the legs or around the back of your head. And if you have the ankles crossed, switch them out, cross them the other way. Mm-hmm. And then walk it back out into downward dog. And here, do come into a regular downward facing dog and let everything uncross there. Lift your right foot up and back to the sky behind you. Step the right foot wide outside the right hand, like lizard position. So palms inside the foot. You can put the back knee down. And as you come to this right leg forward, lizard, back knee down, just lift your right arm up and take a twist here. And as you stay in this twist, let your right foot, I'll show you this way, turn out and the knee just drop open. And you could try to stay in the twist as you turn the foot forward again and let the knee, you're not using your hand, I'm just kind of showing you the idea though, is that the right knee is going to drop to the inside, but you're still in that twist. And then bring it back through center, turn the toes out, let the knee drop open to the right. Turn the toes forward, straight ahead. Let the knee drop in towards the left. One more time. Out, wing it open. And in, toes forward. Press the knee in towards the left. And then just settle it back in neutral. Bring your hand back down inside the foot. And step back downward facing dog. Try this in downward facing dog. Can you bend your elbows about halfway? And then straighten them again. Can you bend your elbows about halfway one more time and straighten them again? And then last time we'll bend the elbows about halfway and keep them there and hold. And while you're there with your elbows hovering, try to find that jump rope kind of a spine. So first let the belly fall, tailbone lift, chin lift, and then right ear and right hip to each other, and just go right into the roundy circle, rounding through the back as much as you can, not much there, right? And then left ear, left hip, and your elbows are still hovering, and you're going around in one more circle. And then can you change directions and go the other way in your circle? Try to keep the elbows right where they are, not moving the elbows too much. And then regular downward facing dog. Touch your knees down. sit on your heels here. So just sitting back onto your feet. You take the backs of your hands together at your heart and just let the elbows be really heavy for a moment. And then turn that upside down prayer into a lotus mudra again. So just turn it up towards the ceiling and let your inner fingers spread open. So we'll do just like we did, coming all the way back full circle to the beginning here, that same beginning, but now our lower body's in a different situation. So press the palms together, reach them like they're piercing forward, rock back and round your spine. And then part the clouds open, the arms out wide, and extend your spine. The right hand is going to drop over to the right side. As you reach the left arm up, you can let your hips fall off the heels over to the left side. So you really get a big, long stretch through that side body. And just like we did before, you're bringing the hand towards that bottom hand and just seeing where it might land today without too much force, without too much bullying the shape. And then slowly bringing it back up. As you bring it up, you're bringing your seat back to center on the heels to change direction, floating like a little cartwheel up and over to the other side. Left hand down, right arm goes across, and the hips can start to fall. They might fall all the way, any amount, whatever feels right to you here, any amount of the hips falling, the ribs on that right side just yawning open. You're massaging. You can wiggle a little bit and massage the inner lining of your skin. And then that hand coming down towards the other one. And come all the way back up, slowly using your deep belly muscles to pull the hips back up onto the heels. And as you come up, walk the fingertips behind you, a little camel here. So with the hands on the ground to start with, you could lift your hips up off the heels a little bit or a lot. Head can go back. You'll have a chance to go deeper. Don't worry, next time, come on down. As you come on down, lotus mudra at the heart. And just like before, touch palms together, reach it forward, round the back. You could wiggle, you could snuggle, and then open wide. And then right hand down, left arm comes over, the hips fall off the heels, and you reach fingers towards the bottom hand. Take it back. Strong belly lifts you back up and right over to the other side. This time, as you come up, both hands can come either to the floor behind you, or if you like, they can also come right to your feet, and you could press out into Ustrasana that way. Take a few breaths in it and then come on down and do it one more time, same shape. So, 3, 4, 5 breaths and then try it. Yeah, and you could do it your way too. If there's another way you like to enter this shape, honor that. So think about it not as any sort of aesthetic ideal from the outside, but how could it feel like a massage from the inside, like a deep cleaning from the inside. And then you could settle yourself back onto your heels in no rush and just pause there. If you like the mudra, keep the mudra or press your palms over your heart. So you've got 2 options here for those who want a headstand practice. You could take a simple headstand A with your hands interlaced, only if that feels like, if it doesn't cause too much drama in your practice, do that. Otherwise, the other option here is that you could come into a child's pose and cross one arm in front of the other and come down into a crossed arms child's pose. If you have a block nearby, you could use that. And there's no rule that you can't do everything too. You can go into a shorter headstand and then come back into this crossed arms child's pose, or we'll be for a bit and then we'll change the cross of the arms. So let's say if you're in the crossed arms, you're staying here for another 3 breaths on this side. And then you could change the cross of your arms after that, or if you're in the headstand, you could happily stay, or if you wanted to come down to child's pose and try this, you could do that as well. So from wherever you are, take your time coming to sit just to watch me for a moment. And there's really no rush. So if you're in a headstand, come down slowly. If you're enjoying something, it's really interesting, take another breath or two. I'm going to show you this a couple of times. A little funny transition here and get the right. There we go. So it's going to be sort of a one arm twisted child, and then lifting up more, almost more, actually more like thread the needle maybe. It'll start in a child, but then I'm going to lift the hips up and push with the other hand to just sort of like fall onto the side and come to a twist. And don't do it yet, I'll show you. So I've got both knees stacked, twisting, and then I'm going to take the bottom, the top leg and arm and reach and pull back to the twist. Just a few times and just reaching and twisting, and then we'll reach and try to roll all the way into a pigeon. Okay, it may not work out exactly like that, but it'll be something like that, and I'll talk you through it. Okay, so coming first to a twisted child's pose, slide your left arm under your right arm. Let's do it that way. Left arm under, no, slide your right arm so I can watch you this way. Sorry, right arm underneath. And just resting here, and your head can turn or your head can face down as you like. And then you can come up with your hips so that you're more on your knees. You can even walk your knees back and together a little bit. And then pushing into that left hand and reaching your right arm underneath you more so that you end up just sort of falling, spilling, rolling, thumping over onto your right side. Let the left arm open back behind you. Come into a simple twist here with your knees stacked. And then reach your left leg long away from you and reach your left arm up alongside your head and just stretch from left fingertips to left toes and back, just so like infinitely. And then pull it in and let that arm just, you could even sort of drag it across your heart and your armpit and let it pull you into the twist. And then take it in a semicircle overhead. Reach it overhead, reach your left leg away. And then as the knee bends, the hand comes down, it comes towards the heart. And then it just sort of like feather touches across the chest and opens a couple more times. Can you tell I'm just sort of making this one up as I go? This is not how I planned it, but I really like how it's come out. So just experiment, right? And if this isn't exactly feeling good in your body, you could try other things. You could experiment and make it fit you. You're your best teacher here. The next time that the left leg stretches back and the left arm reaches overhead. Stay there. Stay there. We're thinking about pigeon. You could even start to scoot the right knee up towards your chest a little bit more. And then pull your body over onto the front. Use your hands to help you climb into pigeon. Okay, and you know your body best. So if you need to turn around and hook the right foot like this in a seated pigeon, do that. Otherwise, you can do any amount of snuggling around until you feel like this is a pigeon that suits you, and then go ahead and fold it forward. We're going to add on a little bit here and come up from the forward fold onto your palms. And when you're on your palms, you're going to walk the right hand a little further forward and take the left arm out and up to the side. I'm going to do like a thread the needle a few times, repetitively. Dive the left arm under the right, any amount, reach it as far as it wants to go, and then pull it out again and open it up. We'll do that 3 times total. Diving under, and on that last time, and there's no rush at all, but when you get there, that last dive under, the arm can stay. There are various arm positions that you could do here. You could keep it just like that, the arms crossed. You could put the hands in a prayer. Some of you might even want to wrap the right arm behind the back. Okay. And if that turns out to be beyond where you can feel at ease, come back to something that fits you better. Start to climb your hands back underneath you and just take it right back to a child's pose. We're going to add the twist here. So now this time it's going to be your left arm that comes under the right arm in child's pose. Head can be straight down or turned to the side. And then from there, coming up with the hips a little bit, so it's more like a thread the needle, and you can use the right hand coming back to start to push yourself over onto your left side, and then open that right arm out into a twist. And it's going to be the right arm and the right leg now that stretch up and down. So reach the right leg down as you carry the right arm straight up overhead. Reach. And then as you pull that hand into the heart, you bend the knee again and let the hand brush over your heart, brush across your chest over the armpit, and open up. And you can do that a few times. Arm goes up, leg goes down, you reach them apart. And you could play with it too. If you want to lift the leg and arm off the floor, or keep them on the floor, and then you pull in and open. And it's kind of interesting too. You could really exaggerate the movements of the spine here, that when after you stretch the arm and leg and you pull the hand to the heart and bend the knee, you can really round your spine and coil in, and then touch the heart and twist and add even a little back bend, lift the chest, stretch the arm and leg away from each other a couple more times like that. And from that long place where the leg stretches long and the arm reaches overhead, start to think pigeon, and then do your best to pull yourself over onto your belly and arrange a pigeon that fits you well. And you can descend over that front leg. Give it time, there's no hurry. Walk your hands back. And as you're in your pigeon with the left leg forward, walk the left hand in front just a little bit. Reach the right arm up. And then dive it underneath and reach. Once. You know the deal, right? A few times. We'll do it 3 times total. You can linger anywhere you like, eventually settling into a twisted pigeon unless it makes you just feel like, oh, this is too much and I just, not at ease here. Then find a place where you are at ease. And as you come out of this one suggestion perhaps is you could do a regular child's pose, or you might, in your child's pose, as you come back, take your hands and arms and thread them between the legs back so that your hands settle near your feet. Then you could even pull the legs in a little bit. So it's like you're squeezing yourself, like you're giving yourself a hug, and the head can turn to the side or be straight down. I like to turn it to the side for a few breaths and then change directions. So if this is too compacted, again, if you're not feeling some amount of ease, a little discomfort, we always welcome that. We can start to, you know, create new relationship with that. But if it's beyond a little discomfort, then come to a simple child's pose. If your head is turned and you want to experiment with turning it the other way, go ahead. And then last thing we'll do together is to come onto the back and just do a little more of that 3D hip love. So however you get there, slowly, carefully onto your backs, transitioning. And as you come onto the back, take your legs in a V, a wide V, and you could do the same with the arms. And then turning all your toes, just turn the toes all the way to the right and feel how your right hip presses down and the left hip rolls up a little bit. And then go back through center, turn all your toes to the left, and just rock back and forth like that a few times. The upper body stays on the ground really evenly, but you're feeling, you notice that feeling of compression in the hips. I don't know about you, but when I really tune into that compression and release, that squeeze and release of the hips, it feels so good. And I can even imagine like it's not me doing it. Like there's some incredible body worker that's in there just like squeezing out the tension in my hips. Squeeze. So a couple more times like that. And then the next time that you turn everything towards the right, keep it all turned towards the right. So you're already rolling onto that right hip and start to pull the left leg towards the right leg. Take some belly strength and then bring it in a big giant circle. Kick it up and slow motion circle all the way around until eventually
you land back where you started. There's no rush. And do it again. Toes to the right, same side. Feel that compression, that squish in the pelvis. Slide the left foot. Use that belly. Press the belly down. Slide the left foot over to the right. Kick it up and around in a big giant circle. So it's interesting. You can do that. Keep doing that, right? And you can do it by initiating, by turning the toes, turning the legs, and rolling onto the side of the hip to start with. Or there's another way you can do this. You can not turn the legs at all. And you can slide, so just gently pick up, so it just brushes the floor. Slide the left foot over to meet the right foot, so you get this side body, like this pulling, tensile pulling, stretching through the left side body, and then roll onto the right hip and take the leg around. So it's different. So you could experiment in your body which you enjoy, or just that it's interesting. We don't even have to sort of make judgments about it. It's like, oh, here's this and this is what I feel, and here's the other way and this is what I feel. Do that just one more time, whichever way you're doing it, and then just rest, and the X marks the spot. We'll do the other side. So turn all your toes to the left. Feel the left hip press down, and then slide that right leg over to the left in a big circle. So like that, slowly feeling your way into it a few times. Turn the toes, feel that squeeze, that compression, and then press the belly down. So it's not the lower back doing all the work. Okay, we're really working the legs and the hips here. Take it around, and then of course the spine as well. And if you want to get more, right, the focus will be probably a little more on the spine if you keep the legs neutral, and then try to just float that right leg over to the left leg without lifting the hips, and then roll onto the left hip and kick the leg around. So experiment a few more times like that. Just exploring this movement. And then eventually, after the next circle, just land back in that X marks the spot. Pull all your limbs in, give yourself a squeeze, a rock. And we're going to land in Shavasana. So, just as always, checking in to see what else you might need before you rest. If you need extra blankets or socks. And that was sometimes when we're very wide and open like that, you might want to rest curled up on your side, or you could even sit up and do a seated meditation rest. It doesn't have to be spread out on your back.
No need to move your body at all just yet. Just allow your attention to gently come back and read a little bit to you. Pablo Neruda, keeping quiet. Now we will count to 12 and we will all keep still. For once on the face of the earth, let's not speak in any language. Let's stop for 1 second and not move our arms so much. It would be an exotic moment without rush, without engines. We would all be together in a sudden strangeness. If we were not so single-minded about keeping our lives moving, and for once could do nothing, perhaps a huge silence might interrupt this sadness of never understanding ourselves. Perhaps the earth can teach us, as when everything seems dead and later proves to be alive. Now I'll count up to 12, and you keep quiet, and I will go. But I won't go. I'll stay. You can start to blink and stretch and climb your way back up. Hmm. Set your palms either on your heart, or if you like that lotus mudra, you could bring that cup in front of your heart, fill your own cup. Deep inhalation together. Om. Thanks, everybody.